Hello, this is a tutorial on how to install and use the operating system Oracle Solaris version 11.4, the newest version. So this is a proprietary Unix operating system, was certified as Unix until recently, had a interval between 2005 and the moment that Oracle acquired Sun Microsystems, where the operating system was an open source project named Open Solaris. Continuator of Unix System V Release 4. Let's go to the home page. In here we say that we want to use Oracle operating system. I have the choice between versions, so between version 11.4.0 general availability downloads and the latest version, which is 11.4.42. Let's go with this option, the newest one. I have created an account for oracle.com and I have followed the steps from this page on. And the steps look like this. This is the version of Oracle Solaris. First of all, from the platforms combo box, you need to select between Spark or x86. By x86, probably AMD 64 is meant, whereas Spark is the hardware CPU architecture, instruction set architecture from Oracle. So it's a different hardware. I do not have access to Spark hardware. So I'm going to download the x86 option. So in here, Oracle Solaris x86-64. So that's current Intel or AMD processors. Then we are presented with a list of possible downloads. There are automated installers, both for the CD-ROM drive, so ISO files, also for being booted from USB sticks. And there's the interactive install, both as ISO and USB boot. And then, 20 files, zip files, which can be used in order to create a local IPS repository. So an IPS repository is a package repository similar to the apt package repositories for the Linux operating systems in the Debian family. So that's a list of binary packages and the framework IPS, which allows you to run locally a package manager repository, which you can then add to your Oracle operating system installation, such that you can install additional software. The ISO that I have selected is for the interactive text install and is almost 900 megabyte in size. You need to review and agree to the EULA. And in order to download, don't use this download button. You just click on this green URL. Now let's try installing in a virtual machine. My host computer is running a Linux operating system, Kubuntu 2404. I'm using the virtualization software Virtual Machine Manager or Virt-Manager. Let's create a new virtual machine. This one, V and ISO. Let's see what we can write here. Generic Linux 2022. Let's try this. Ten gigabytes of random access memory, 14 vCPUs, 250 gigabytes. This is Solaris. Customize. Let's start the virtual network and let's look at the settings. Hopefully it knows the newest chipset, the Intel Q35. BIOS is probably preferred versus UEFI. 14 vCPUs, but just one socket. Probably does not know VirtIO, so let's try with SATA. The CD-ROM SATA hopefully works. Network interface card, let's go with not VirtIO, the best one, which is Intel 1000. And that's it, begin installation. If some of the important hardware is not supported by Solaris, I'll delete the virtual machine and recreate it from scratch with older hardware configured in the virtual machine. Says no bootable device, boot failed. So I'll try to delete the virtual machine, recreate it from scratch a number of times until I find the solution. So I couldn't install Solaris operating system, the latest version, on virt-manager, QEMU, KVM Linux using the settings that I thought. So I tried to not use the virt hardware, but at least use SATA for the CD-ROM and the virtual hard disk. That didn't work. I needed to delete the virtual machine and I've recreated it from scratch. This time I've selected as template the oldest version of the operating system NetBSD, which have configured the virtual machine like this. The oldest motherboard, i440FX, and the CPUs, I could use 8 CPUs, memory 10 gigabytes, and then I needed to actually add the ISO myself in here as IDE, network interface card Intel 1000. And the first time it failed to boot, I needed to close the machine, try again, it failed 2 more times, and finally we're somewhere. The first time that the installer did not fail to boot. So this is part of the installer or of the live CD. Initialization, it asks for USB keyboard layout. Default is 27, which is English US. Okay. So this is a text user interface wizard. Select the language you wish to use. 3 is English. I have these assertions. Maybe this is a debug build or why assertions happen in if you build in release mode, then assertions should not crash the operating system. And we're back to the start. I have installed the package VirtualBox from the Ubuntu 24.04 package repository using the command apt install VirtualBox because both Oracle, Solaris, the operating system, and VirtualBox are made by Oracle. So I guess, and I hope that Solaris operating system has better compatibility with VirtualBox because I see that it doesn't have compatibility with QEMU. Okay, so let's create a new machine. Name. Let's find the ISO. I have selected the ISO. It has recognized it as the operating system Solaris and Oracle Solaris 11 x86 64. Let's go next. Let's see if we can assign it as many virtual CPUs as possible. So that's 8 and a ton of random access memory. Like this. We do not use EFI. Virtual hard disk, at least 150 gigabytes. Eight gigabytes of RAM, 8 virtual CPUs, BIOS not UEFI. And let's see if we have better luck with the virtualization software Oracle VM VirtualBox. So it says that the virtual hard disk is SATA and the CD-ROM is also SATA. Network interface card Intel 1000. And it did. Using SATA didn't show that assert error, and we're allowed to start the installer wizard. So 27.3. Welcome to the Oracle Solaris installation menu. Install. Welcome to Oracle Solaris. Thank you for choosing. Installation log will persist. Use the function keys listed at the bottom for each screen to move from screen to screen. There's F to continue and F9 to exit. Use the up-down arrows to change the selection or to move between input fields. If your keyboard does not have function keys, it does. Press Escape. Okay, so let's hope everything works okay. F to continue. Select discovery method, local disks, F2 to continue. SATA 147 gigabytes, type VirtualBox, GPT partition table, GUID partition table. Solaris partition 147 megabytes and the boot partition 300 megabytes. F2 to continue. Use the entire disk. Solaris is okay. Wired network, DHCP, time zone, F2. Page down works. F2. Easternmost areas F2. Language English F2. ENUS UTF-8, yes please. The date is okay, F2. Keyboard English US, F2. Root password. With arrow keys, down arrow key, you move to the next field. Create a user account. Administrator. Let's delete this thing. Administrator. Password. F2 to continue. Root password must contain at least 6 characters. F2 to continue. User password, the same thing. So it doesn't say up front, it waits for you to enter a wrong password and then it tells you what's wrong. Enable Oracle Auto Service Requests. Please enter your password if you wish to receive security updates. I'll try to enter in here the credentials from my oracle.com account. So I created a oracle.com account just in order to evaluate the Solaris operating system. I've entered the oracle.com account. I went to the next page and now it takes me to a page where that looks familiar. It has me running the installer wizard from scratch. So probably it didn't like my credentials. And now I've rerun the installer wizard. This time I did not select any Oracle account. So I left the defaults on the previous wizard page. This is the installation summary, English US, and start installing F2. This is a text user interface wizard with colors. We'll pause for a second. We're at 100%. And the installation complete installer page. Reboot to start the newly installed software. Reboot is F8. Let's shut down the machine. Okay, so once we restarted the machine, the ISO remained in the virtual DVD drive, and it tried to boot again from it. And we needed to remove the ISO from the virtual DVD drive, and now it's trying to boot from the virtual hard disk. This is the bootloader, GNU Grub. Only one option in there. It waits for 30 seconds for the user to select the boot entry. I've pressed the escape key. It takes a while to boot for the first time. So sometimes during the splash screen at the boot, you can press the escape key and it will show a text log of what's happening during the boot. Okay, so it seems that the boot has finished. We can log into the console in text user mode. Let's see how we get back to the graphical user interface console. So the delete key works as backspace, whereas the backspace key prints Ctrl H. So I have an English US keyboard for Windows computers. Let's see how we get back to the graphical user interface. There are virtual terminals available. Ctrl Alt F1 is the one where we're in right now. Ctrl Alt F2 is VT2, Virtual Terminal 2. There's a VT3, 4, 5, 6, and 6 is the last one. I have reset the virtual machine and we're back at VT1. I could connect with the Solaris OS user. That's not a user root. Let's see what we have here. So the Solaris virtual machine is running. I'm at the download page from Oracle. In here we have the page with the installation for CD and DVD for the previous version, the 11.4.0 version. In here there's the document First Steps with Oracle Solaris 11. In here it says that the installer is in graphical user interface mode, which is not. It's a text user interface installer. We want to actually start the graphical user interface session. If it's installed there, do we have the desktop manager GDM? Do we have GNOME in there? What is the desktop environment? Is it installed by default? Maybe we need to install additional packages. It talks about sudo, about roles, and about the manager for daemons, which is Service Management Facility SMF. We can list the status of all of the services. So that's SVCS, and we can paginate through that with more or with less. And in here we can see what packages are installed by default, because those can have services registered with SMF and the service being running or online. So we can see in here that it has a Samba SMB server for Windows for sharing file systems towards other machines using the Windows protocol. This one. There's Solaris zones. Samba client, not only service. A DHCP client, print manager cups, and the SSH server is running by default. So let's try connecting to the SendMail client. Web UI, wow. Hardware abstraction layer HAL. Network file system NFS. The virtual terminals are actually services managed by SMF. Let's try to connect to this virtual machine using SSH. So for that, I have changed the settings in the Oracle VM VirtualBox. We go devices, network settings. And for the network interface card, the only one that exists, we want host only adapter, which we need to create. from Oracle VM VirtualBox Manager, File, Tools, Network Manager. In the first tab in here, Host Only Networks, click on the Create button. This is the way the connection is created by default. VBox Net0 is the name, uses an IPv4 address for the host, and for the guest, for the DHCP clients, there's the range from 101 to 254. The host is .100. Okay, after you reboot the Oracle virtual machine, it will query via the DHCP client that's running in the virtual machine for the IPv4 address from the virtualization software. IPA does not exist. ifconfig shows a usage message. I can see in here ifconfig interface is or interface name or -a. So let's use that. Says that the IPv4 address is the first one. This one, the lower address bound, 192.168.56.101. I can connect via SSH admin, and this thing. There's PS AUX for seeing the list of running processes. There's the paginator more, and this expects that you press the space key. The arrow keys do not work. And less, in here, similar to Linux, the arrow keys work and page up, page down. So less is more on Solaris. We can see that it uses ZFS. There's the SSH server. DBus. An Apache HTTP server. Okay, let's see if we can install the graphical user interface session, if we can boot in graphical user interface mode. As per the networking configuration manual of VirtualBox, it's the type of networking mode that we want is one where the virtual machine can connect to the host and can connect to the internet. And the host only is not one of those because the VM cannot connect to the internet. So I've reinstalled the virtual machine from scratch, and I'm using the default networking configuration in the virtual machine, which says network address translation, NAT, which is this one where the VM can connect to the internet, can connect to the host, and if we want to connect from the host towards the port 22 SSH TCP on the virtual machine, we'll need to use port forwarding. And the examples indeed are about SSH. Otherwise, I could not connect to the internet from the virtual machine. I could not ping anything. I could not download packages using the default package manager, which is PKG, the executable from the IPS. I have managed to create the forwarding rule. It says that you can do it in graphical user interface mode using the port forwarding editor in the network setting for the network adapter, which is for the virtual machine in Oracle VM VirtualBox, devices, network settings, advanced, port forwarding. You can put any name in here, protocol TCP. I want to use just the host IP address, localhost 127.0.0.1. The host port will be double the 22, so 2222. Guest IP address can be anything. It's using the HTTP, so it might vary in time. And guest port 22. Press OK twice. And then you can connect using a command line like this. So you specify SSH, the TCP port to use, which is 2222, the IP address 127.0.0.1, and the username admin. And now we're connected. Ping works correctly. The package manager gives HTTPS connection errors. This document, the first steps with Oracle Solaris 11 article, talks about important parts of the how to install the product, how to configure it for the first time. Talks about SMF, Service Management Facility. Talks about how to configure networking. And about file system hierarchy. And then about the package, the command line package manager, which is IPS. And in here, it tells us how to list packages that are already installed on the system, how to search for a package in the online package repositories, how to get information about a package. And then it says the following, says Solaris 11 comes pre-configured with a single IPS package repository, which is the one without HTTPS or HTTP and ending with release. And then there's a second package repository which uses the protocol HTTPS and ends in support. But you need to have an Oracle support contract in order to use the one ending in support. And on my virtual machine, the situation is reversed. The only package repository enabled by default is the one with HTTPS protocol that ends in support, which requires a support contract in order to use. And the only way for me to actually install packages is to go back to the previous package repository, the one with HTTP and ends with release, which is actually free to use, but probably contains very old packages, maybe from the moment Oracle Solaris 11.4 GA was released. So 11.4.0, which is this one, not this one. And these are the instructions. Where are you? There are instructions on how to switch from one to the other. With Package Publisher, you can see which one is enabled. So it used to be HTTPS and support. And in order to switch from the command line is the following. In order to switch from HTTP to HTTPS, you go minus uppercase G HTTP, so the one which should be removed, and minus lowercase g HTTPS, the one that should be added, the name of the repo, Solaris, and the command line is package space set minus publisher. So this goes from HTTP to HTTPS. I need the reverse to go from HTTPS to HTTP. So I've used the command line package set minus publisher. I've ignored these parts about certificates, and minus lowercase g, the new one that I want, which is HTTP, and minus uppercase g, the one which requires support contract, with the one which HTTPS, and Solaris. This is the command line. And now I switch to the release package repository. Let's see in here what we have. So package search GDM. Package system display minus manager GDM. So GDM now is available. Let's see how we actually install the entire Oracle Solaris specific GNOME desktop environment. I searched on Google Solaris 11 how to install GNOME. This is the first result, which says that there's a PKG package which is named Solaris Desktop, which you need to install. So let's do that. Package install and Solaris Desktop. This will need to install, I don't know, 1000 packages maybe. Many applications, many parts of the X server, image libraries, GTK libraries, glib libraries, etc. Window manager, desktop manager, audio video codecs, installs the Pidgin instant manager application. We'll be back once it finishes installing. So installing software has finished. I'll reboot, and then we'll see if the virtual machine will boot in GDM automatically, or we'll need to enable the GDM service using SMF, or what is the way to connect to the graphical user interface GNOME session. And the virtual machine has started in graphical user interface mode in GDM, the GNOME Desktop Manager. Let's log in. What is this thing? It's echoing. No, it's the username. Okay, there's a GNOME initial setup, first run wizard, English next, English US next, geographic location, online accounts. This icon is probably missing. Start using Oracle Solaris. So this is GNOME 3. These are video screen recordings. Let's see the list of applications that are available by default. There's the web browser Firefox, the graphical user interface email client Thunderbird, instant messenger Pidgin, missing icons everywhere. The GNOME icons are missing. The file manager, GNOME terminal probably. Yes, icon is missing. Copyright 2019. This is now Nautilus 2018. In order to connect to the virtual machine in graphical user interface mode in better conditions, such that copy-paste works, such that I can resize the window, etc. I'm trying to not use the Oracle VM VirtualBox graphical user interface console. Instead, I would like to use the Tiger VNC server. So let's see how far I get with this. It says that package Tiger VNC is already installed. I'm setting the server password. Let's use the exact same password. Would you like to enter a view-only password? No. So there's a configuration file in the home directory .vncx startup, .vncconfig, and there's .vnc log. Let's copy this list of files. Okay, from the host, we need to run the VNC viewer, but we did not yet forward the VNC server TCP port. So let's do that. From the host, from the Linux machine, I'm trying to connect to the Solaris virtual machine using VNC. I needed to specify a port forwarding rule for the network interface card in the virtual machine. The rule was similar to the one for SSH. So the name, guest VNC, protocol TCP, the VNC protocol TCP ports are 5900, so that's 5900, plus the number of the connection. So when I started the VNC server, it says that the desktop is 1, so connection 1, not connection 0, which means that the TCP port will be 5901. Press OK twice, And then from the host machine, you can start the VNC viewer, which is also from Tiger VNC, VNC viewer space, and then localhost, and then :1. We want to connect to the desktop with the ID 1. Let's see if the password works. And we can see what? Theoretically, you need to be logged out of all of the desktop sessions. So in the virtual machine, do log off or restart the machine. That's even better. And just like that, I can connect using the VNC protocol to the virtual machine that's running Solaris. The Tiger VNC server has been configured automatically, has been installed automatically, runs correctly automatically out of the box. I just installed the latest version of Oracle Solaris, and then on top of that I did pkg space install and then the Solaris desktop. So I've installed just one package, Solaris desktop, and that installed many other binary packages. Probably one of those is the Tiger VNC server. And the configuration is correct such that when we connect to the Tiger VNC server, we're not greeted with some bare bones TWM session with an xterm inside. Instead, we're greeted with an entire session of the Solaris desktop, which uses GNOME 3. Let's see if resizing the Tiger VNC window resizes also the resolution of the virtual machine. And it does. That's very important to me. I want to not see some strange tiny resolution. I want to have the resolution that I need at that moment. If I want to have the entire screen, I just resize the Tiger VNC client window and the resolution inside of the virtual machine changes correctly. If I want the Tiger VNC window to use just a quarter of my screen, that will also work correctly, or half of the screen. And then I would also want to have copy paste work correctly, at least of text. And it does. Via the VNC protocol, I have copy paste of plain text working, and I can also resize the virtual machine's resolution as needed. At this point, if copy paste works, I can even not use the web browser inside of the virtual machine at all. I can just put the web browser on the half left of my screen, which I call work, and on the right half of my screen I can have a web browser, which would be the documentation half of my screen. And from there I can do, for instance, terminal things. Double-clicking on the application title bar maximizes it and restores it. I can copy paste commands from the dock towards the work. Let's see some commands that we can copy paste. pkg publisher, middle click paste works. Right click paste works. Let's see if Ctrl Shift V works. and it does. Let's install some packages. Package install MC. What's the name of MC? Alt backspace works. This one, Solaris file MC. Let's see if GNU Midnight Commander is actually packaged for Oracle Solaris 11. For that, I have run the command pkg publisher, which shows me that just one remote package repository is enabled, the one with this URL. I have opened it in a web browser, so http://package oracle.com Solaris release. The IPS software is a framework which both contains the server part, the hosting part where it hosts the binary packages, the graphical user interface web application over it, and also the client side, the PKG executable which can install packages. This is the web app part of IPS and allows you to see the packages that are available in the repository. So I need to select a branch, which I don't know which one it is. Let's go all and browse. Okay. In here we can search for MC. All words. Doesn't work like that. It was file MC. Let's search by that. No such thing. Okay, let's look at other packages. So for a package such as the server SSH, you can look at details. It says that the SSH server is indeed OpenSSH from the OpenBSD project. The version is what we would expect, a portable one with PIN version. Licenses. A P5i, which is probably a URL that's working on the graphical user interface session in Solaris. Let's look at the manifest. So the packages on which it depends. Additional data about the package. And this should be the list of files that are inside of the package somewhere. Okay, but the fact that whenever you have a IPS package repository, which is configured for your operating system, there's great chances that by just navigating in your web browser to the URL of the IPS repository, you get such a great graphical user interface web app, which just works and works anytime if the repository works and you can install packages, then the web app works. Whereas in other operating systems, such as in Debian and Ubuntu, I often can use the package repository apt install command line works correctly, but then I can't navigate. If I navigate to the search engine for dev packages from Ubuntu, that would give me, I don't know, intermittently an error of 500. So sometimes I cannot use the web UI for browsing packages from Ubuntu or from Debian, but then I can install packages from the command line. Whereas in here, if the website is down, then you cannot probably also install packages because it's served by the exact same web server and hostname. So I cannot prove that Midnight Commander is packaged for Oracle Solaris. Let's see if we have Bash available. So that's package list and grep bash, and it's pre-installed. What are the other shells that are already installed on this operating system? There's Z shell, TC shell, Korn shell 95, Bash. What is the current shell? It's Bash. Let's see if we can install Emacs. There's Emacs, and I want the variety without any X11, so just X user interface. And that's probably this guy. So package install, Ctrl Shift V. And it downloads to binary packages. It says that IPSPKG, there aren't any binary packages that you can just download. In the Debian family, the binary packages have the extension deb. On the Fedora Red Hat family of Linux operating systems, you can actually download the binary packages and they're with extension RPM. Whereas in here, there's no possibility of downloading one binary package as a single file and giving it to someone else for offline installation. In here, what you do, you tell PKG, the command line to which manages IPS, please download the package that I want, which is in this case GNU Emacs no X11, with all of its dependencies. So it will download, I know, 40 packages, wrap them as an IPS package repository, and then you provide that package repository to somebody else. in order for them to install without an internet connection, for instance, from a USB stick. So you put the repository on that USB stick, you give the USB stick to somebody, and then that someone will need to have Oracle Solaris installed and configure IPS PKG to use two package repositories, the one that you would expect from the Oracle company and another one from the USB stick. And then that person will be able to install GNU Emacs NoX11 without internet connection, without going to the official Oracle package repository, and it will use the package repository from the USB stick instead. Okay, let's see that Emacs works. pwd, we're in the home directory of the user admin and we are the user root. Let's get out of here, not be the user root anymore. Now I'm the user admin in my home directory. Let's create a file in here. Saving works, exiting works. We can list the file. We can cut the file. We can less the file. We can more the file. So less and more are the pagers. Let's see if Nano comes out of the box. Yes, it's in pre-installed. Ctrl X to exit. Okay. Let's see if the package manager is available, installed by default. What's the name of the thing? The documentation pages are really not up to date. They talk about the fact that a live CD with a full graphical user interface is available as installed media, as ISO, which is not the case. It says that there is a system administration menu, which is where, which is probably from GNOME 2, not from GNOME 3. The application is Package Manager, which is not installed by default. And I don't even know exactly what application this one is. Looks like, you know, it says that the graphical user interface application, this one, used to be part of the IPS package, graphical user interfaces. There's package manager and update manager. So there used to be two graphical user interface applications, which can be started from the command line with the name package manager in a single word. Like this, package manager. This executable does not exist anymore. I cannot search for this package. And the graphical user interface application for updates, the update manager, was the command line package manager space minus minus update minus all. Let's see if the command line for installing packages from the command line works for updating packages. Okay, no updates are available. I've installed only packages from the ISO, which are fairly new packages. And then I've added the only IPS repository that doesn't require a Oracle support contract. the 1/release. And I'm going to guess that the packages in the /release are pretty old and never update. And the ISO is no longer in the CD-ROM drive. So there's no way for me to actually update the binary packages. I have found in the repositories two binary packages which sound similar to the GUI applications, package-manager and update-manager. Let's install these. Okay, and now, so this is the third package that it says that nothing there is to be done, no updates necessary for this package. But then if I go package list, the package does not exist. The package was not installed, but then I cannot install it, and it's available in the package repository. Let's see if Wireshark works. The page also shows how to navigate to the web UI for IPS. There's a graphical user interface application for boot environments. Once you install packages, the package manager will automatically create boot environments which allow you to reboot your computer, and then in grub you can select to not boot in the latest version of the operating system, but in the version before you've installed packages using IPS or the GUI application package manager. And you can also create manually boot environments. Let's see if Wireshark actually works or has been installed. Please wait while Wireshark is initializing. I can imagine that even if the entry point documentation is so outdated, then there's probably not enough manpower to actually manually test the operating system and the many binary packages that are available in the official Oracle Solaris package repository. And just the fact that you cannot install the latest and greatest version of Oracle Solaris in a QEMU virtual machine, that just screams lack of manpower. Thank you.